down to the correct place because a lot of students get very confused by this assignment. So I want to walk you through this a little bit. All right. So I want everybody to be working from the exact same materials. So do not, I repeat, do not find your own materials for this assignment. You're going to use the materials that I've provided in this assignment. I've provided for you a couple of different resources in this assignment. One is to the Purdue online writing lab. They have a very nice, comprehensive, hyperlinked, easy to search warehouse of all the APA style information that you need. So this first link that you're seeing right here is to just their overall web page where you can go and if you wanted to search for the hyperlinks. I'm going to show you a little farther down where I've actually given you hyperlinks to what you exactly need. So your job in this assignment is to create correctly formatted references for the book that I've provided, the journal article that I've provided, and the online periodical I've provided. I did this on purpose in this format so that you can't just use Google Cite or EBSCOhost Cite or any of the other resources where you can just cite. I'm actually looking to see whether you know how to apply the formatting rules for APA. I've given you an additional resource here, which is a direct link to APA, to the APA reference discussion page, so that's where you're going to actually post this work. Unlike other APA assignments where you submitted them to a Dropbox just for me to look at and grade, on this one, I want you guys to try and help each other to figure out what's right and what's wrong in each other's formats. And so that's why it's really super important that we're all using the same exact materials, because none of us, well, I do, but the rest of you might not feel confident looking at a book reference and then giving decent comments if it's not a book that you're familiar with and you don't know what the materials were and so on. So everybody's going to be using the exact same materials. Everybody's going to post their formatted materials into the discussion board. And then what you're going to do is look for somebody who doesn't have any comments on theirs yet. And you're going to look at theirs and give them feedback about the accuracy. And if you're not completely sure, it's completely fine to say, I thought we were supposed to do this or that, right? It's okay to say, I'm not exactly sure. And ideally, go back and look and see if somebody else comments on it and hopefully learn from each other is the goal. So here are the materials that you're going to be using. The first one is a book. And so you see that it's called Mastering Memory, 75 Memory Hacks for Success in School, Work, and Life. The author is Brad Zupp. And then I provided for you the copyright information. It's copyright 2019 by Althea Press, Emeryville, California. So every single thing you could possibly need for creating a reference for this book and some additional things that you don't need are included in this little image right here. Now, to find out how to format information in a book format, you can click on that link. I'm sorry, I'm having really horrible internet today, so I got an interrupted thing. There we are. I'm sure the YouTubers out there would tell me I should edit that out, but it is what it is, man. So if you scroll down, you'll find the basic format for books, and it tells you all, just FYI, every APA formatted material, no matter what we're doing, is always going to start off with the last name of the author, comma, their first initial, period, space, their middle initial if they provided it, period, space, and then the year of publication. So the title of the work in the case of a book gets italicized, and then all you need in the 7th edition of the APA manual is just the publisher's name. You don't need the location. So everything you need is on that image that I provided. They have also provided to you an example of what it would look like so that you know, with real words typed in there, what they mean by different things that they wrote here. Notice how they handle a colon and then the subtitle. You have a subtitle. Something that you kind of have to dig a little bit into with APA format to find this, and it's actually in the, I think it's the journal example, but you want to use the same style as the title of the work actually used. So for example, if they have an ampersand in their title, you literally use the ampersand. That's that little and sign. If they have numerals, if they use the digits, you use the digits, you don't spell out the words. Whatever their style of the book is, you want to follow that. If they have maybe some jargony word that they've kind of made up, or it's the name of a company or something, and so it's like one word, but in the middle of the word there's something that's capitalized. You know how sometimes, logos or something will have that. If they've done that, you're supposed to follow that same format. So that's a really good rule for following when you're looking at materials. Like, should I spell, like for example, it says for success in school, work, ampersand, life. You see that we've got some numerals here. So make sure you follow the format that they used in the actual title. All right, now the next set of materials that you have is for a journal article. And I picked a nice old one from 1972. So it would be really, it doesn't have a DOI or any of those kinds of things. Actually, it might have one if you look it up now, but it's not on what I gave you. So you are not responsible for the DOI. I did not give you a DOI, so you don't have to look it up. Do not look up anything for this assignment besides the style information using the hyperlinks that I've given you. Everything you need is right here. So we have the name of the journal, we have the volume number, we have the page range, we have the year of publication, we have the title of the article, and we have the authors. One of the reasons why I picked this one is because I love that Craig has 2 middle initials, and so all of his initials get included. He has 3 names, so that's what it is. So again, you can just click on the hyperlink I provided. It'll take you right to the OWL website, assuming your internet's working decently. They've added up here in red that this is taking you to the 7th edition, which is what we want to work with. If you were wanting to, for some reason, go to the old style, maybe your teacher wasn't doing it with the 7th edition, they've left that there. So that's what that red thing is at the top. So the basic form for a journal article is same thing, last name first, initials. When you have two or more authors, you always separate them with the ampersand here. So in our case, we only have 2 authors, so we would be looking just at this part where we would be trying to fit it into this part. The year of publication, the title of the article. You'll notice that the title of the article doesn't have any quotation marks around it. It's not italicized. It's nothing fancy. It's just the title of the article, and it's in what is called sentence case. So that means that the first letter gets capitalized, but not the rest of the article. If there's a colon in the title, then the first word after the colon gets capitalized. But other than that, only proper names get capitalized. The first word in the title, the first word after a colon, so that would be the first word of a subtitle, those get capitalized, and that's it. The periodical, the journal, gets italicized, and all of its main words get capitalized. Now you'll notice it's spelled out volume number, but literally all that goes here is the number of the volume. That's it. And then if you were provided with the issue number, you place it in parentheses, not italicized. And notice there's no space between the volume number and the first parentheses. So this is the correct format, but it would just be numbers. So you would have, 11. And then if you had the issue number, maybe it's a 9 or something. And there, if you don't have an issue number, you just leave it off. If you were not provided with that information, you are not responsible for that information. And then you give the page range, and you do not use the word page or PP or P dot or anything to indicate that what's coming next is pages. You just write the pages. If you have a DOI, then you put it here. Now this example is very similar to ours. It only has 1 author. Ours has 2, but otherwise it's pretty similar, right? It's got our year of publication. If you go back to our example, ours has a subtitle. So make sure you're following that subtitle protocol where the first word gets capitalized. And then we have the name of the journal. We have a volume number in italics. We do not have an issue number. We have the page number, and then we don't have a DOI. So you don't have to worry about a DOI. And then your final example is going to be an article from an online periodical. Frontiers in Psychology is a good example of an online periodical. So I've provided you with all the information that you need. The journal is called Frontiers in Psychology. We have, and you can see that repeated here, and you'll notice they shortened it right here where it says Front Cycle. We always completely spell out the journal names. And let's see what else is here. So we have our authors. You'll notice they're always listed on articles, first name, middle name, surname. You're always going to notice that. So this is like given name, middle name, surname. Your job is to invert those so that you are reporting them surname, comma, first initial, middle initial, comma, right? So you're going to have to move these around to make them into the correct format. We have the date of publication. We have the full name of the article. We have the volume. It's kind of a wacky setup because when things are presented to us on the internet, they aren't necessarily as neatly formatted as they are in, a nice journal would do it. But all the information you need is here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link for the online periodical. And you know what? I forgot to double check before I came on to do this video, but good. They didn't change this. So yay. So what we need here is our author list, and it's always going to be that standard format. No matter what your format is, as long as you have actual authors, it's always going to take the same format: surname, comma, given initial, middle initial. Now here's a change from the other two formats. Here you're going to give the year, comma, month, and date. And so I provided that for you and circled it for you here. So this is your correct information there. And then you've got the title of the page is the title of the article, right? So in this case, our article title is Detailed Sensory Memory, Sloppy Working Memory. This is the first thing I've given you that doesn't have a subtitle in it. So that's the title of the page. The site name is Frontiers in Psychology. And then you provide the URL. Now, in the olden days of the 6th edition, you would have put retrieved from and then the URL. But they have changed that now. In the APA 7th edition, now you just give the URL. So I have provided for you the URL. I actually gave you the DOI. That is not technically the URL. Well, let's go ahead and use the DOI as the URL for the purposes of this demonstration, because apparently I did not pull the URL. Oh, you know what? That is the URL. That is when you're on this website and you click, copy URL. This is what it gives us. So this is the actual URL for our article. It happens to be in the correct formatting for a DOI. This is exactly how DOIs should always appear. So if you're ever reporting a DOI, there used to be a different format. So if you're familiar with something else, in the 7th edition of the APA, they changed it to this structure. And apparently a lot of different MLAs and things are going this way also. So it's https://doi.org. If you do a cite this from inside the Eastern Washington libraries, it'll tack on a little eProxy library.ewu.edu. That should not be included in a correctly formatted DOI. If you did that on your project 2, I gave you feedback about that. You don't need that part. You want just the materials that are here. And it's kind of tricky because sometimes there are numbers that look like this, and then there's sometimes information that looks like this. The only thing that you don't need is that part that's referring to the library. You just want this doi.org, and then anything else is part of the DOI, but just not that easyproxy.library.ewu.edu. You don't want that, or bc.edu or something like that. You don't want the library information. All you want is the actual URL for DOI, and then the actual information for the actual article. So this is the correct URL information for this particular article. All right, so here's an example of what it should look like, basically comparing it to, a real piece of information. Okay, so that's what you're doing for this assignment. You're using these materials. I said a lot of things that may or may not have, gone, in one ear and out the other. It's a lot of stuff, right? So your job is to do the best you can to apply that APA formatting to this book, this journal article, and this online periodical using only the information that I've provided. Post that into the discussion board that I've linked here, or you can also find in the module, and then find somebody else's post that doesn't have comments on it. So just look through them and see who doesn't have a comment, and then comment on somebody who hasn't gotten any feedback yet. Once you've posted yours, go back and look and see what your peer has said. And it would be really awesome to see you guys actually having a dialogue about, well, this is what I read, or that's what I read, and try not to get defensive. When you do your comments about the other person, be really careful about not making it sound like you know everything and they're doing something wrong. Instead, give information that is hopefully helpful, and doesn't sound like an attack or a personal, failing. Just say things that you would want to hear if it were you, right? You wouldn't want somebody to criticize you or make you feel like you should have known something. And then be really careful, because you might be giving incorrect information. So just say, I think it's supposed to be like this, or my recollection is, or here, look, I copied and pasted this from the OWL website as an example. I think this is what it's supposed to look like. And then go back and look and see what each other is saying and kind of have a conversation about it. So I'm hoping that having to put your stuff out in front of each other will make you want to do it right. And that maybe hearing somebody else say, I think it's supposed to be like this, will really drill it down in your head, so that when it's time for you to apply these things to your own references in your APA paper, you'll be a little bit more confident about your APA formatting. I am quite the stickler on the APA formatting, and I will give you very specific feedback in the, just like I did on APA Project 2, I gave you very specific feedback about what was wrong and needs to be changed. I only had a few students. If you heard me say perfect reference, you were one of maybe 3 people out of the 80 students that I graded. So if you did it perfectly, Yahoo, good job. If not, don't feel bad. You are in the majority of the group. And so we're all learning. A lot of people learned other styles before this. And so you're learning something new. So don't take it personally, just incorporate it. You don't want to make these mistakes on your paper when it actually counts. So this is your learning moment. So what I'll be looking for is that you made your post in the discussion board. If your peers gave you correct feedback and you should internalize it, I won't repeat it necessarily in my feedback to you. But if they said something incorrect, I'll probably make a comment on the public discussion board about actually the correct way to do it is this or that. So hopefully you guys are all giving each other correct feedback and helpful feedback. And then I'll be looking at the discussion board for participation, right? Like you're supposed to make a comment about your peers' work by the deadline that I've set on that discussion board. So make sure you do the 2 steps, right? Posting your own and making comments. And then I really would like you to learn from it. So go back and look at those comments that your peer made. Okay, well, hopefully this helps you and makes it a little bit clearer what you're supposed to be doing. And hopefully all of you are hearing that you are literally supposed to use the materials that I provided. Do not look up a book, a journal, and an online journal. Use these materials. All right, good luck. Have fun. And I'll look forward to seeing what you guys post.